Hello and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Irma and you can find me on YouTube, Ravelry and Instagram as Wolwerkjes. Happy New Year everybody! I hope everybody is healthy, I hope everybody is feeling okay, and just let's get started with this video. It's been like 2 months since I recorded my last video and well, let's just say life happens. There were moments I could film but I didn't feel like it. There were moments that I wanted to film but there was no time or space or anything. So it's been 2 months. I hope to get into a rhythm of every 2 weeks again, but yeah, we will see how life goes. So I have done some crafting in this meantime, mostly knitting, and I will show you what I have made and things like that. I can't show everything because some things were Christmas presents and I already gave them away. A few of them I made a little video which I will insert somewhere in this video, but there's definitely one thing I can't show because I gave it away before I was able to take a nice picture of it. But just let's get started. Okay, I have been working last year. I think I started it in January, so a year is gone and I have a finished sweater. I knitted the flax light. I can't show it in its complete glory because of my setup today, but I hope this will do. It's the flax light. It has a garter panel up the sleeves, and I made a mistake last time and I fixed the mistake. I don't know if I showed you that already. I made a mistake in the garter stitch. So because it's knitting in the round, normally garter stitch is front and back both knitting stitches, and because you turn your work you get the garter ridges, but when you knit it around you have to alternate between knit and purl to get the garter ridges, and I forgot it at one place by mistake. I thought I had to purl but I didn't, so there was a mess up and it was exactly like on the top of my arm, so I dropped the garter panel for like 30 centimeters and reknitted only this panel. It's finished now. I did like it's not a balloon sleeve because for a balloon sleeve you increase stitches before you bind off. Like you increase a lot and then you decrease a lot, and then you have like the puffy sleeve. What I did is I just didn't decrease for my sleeves, which you would normally do like with this sleeve. With a fitted sleeve you decrease because your wrists are most of the time smaller than the rest of your arm, so you decrease to make them fitting, and I just didn't do anything. So I didn't increase to get the full balloon and I didn't decrease to make them fitting. I just knit straight and did a lot of decreasing just at the cuff to make it stay there if I want to. So that's what I did. That's I think the only modification I did is the sleeves and the way I did the borders, because I did folded over hems at all edges. So the bottom hem and the neckline and the cuffs I all did folded over hems, folded over borders. So I knit twice the length I need, I flip it over and I knit the stitches of the beginning and end of the cuff together, which is quite easy to do and gives a lovely finished edge of your work. You can also do like the pattern gives, I think, just a normal bind off and cast on. You can also do like a rolled over bind off and cast on. I don't find the term in my head, but you can make it look like this without the double layer. But I find this a little bit more sturdy, which can be, it's just a choice. I chose this in this sweater. So you can do like whatever edge you want. I just chose this one this time. And on another sweater I will do something else or the same, or it's just how my mood is that day. So yeah, I did not modify the neckline. I know they came out with a revised pattern which adds short rows in the back if you want to. This is the old pattern. I just didn't do it. I labeled the back, so I always wear the same side at the back, and because it's knitwear it will shape to my body, especially the toothier yarn, it will form like your body in a while. So yeah, I think that's going to be enough. And when I hold it up you already see that the neckline is shaping as it's supposed to, although I knitted it the same at front and back, so we will see. It's also like really high up, so there's no like air in my neck or anything that bothers me. So yeah, I'm very happy. I knitted quite long, and the only reason I'm not wearing it today is because it needs a wash, and it will be its first wash, so I'm a little bit afraid to do it. I'm really in doubt, should I put it in the gentle cycle on my washing machine, which I think is the most gentle thing I can do to it, because it's really gentle wash. Should I just soak it? But there's like a smell in it, so I really should get a good clean. Airing it is not gonna take it out. But there's something scary about putting a feltable wool in the washing machine, which I've done before. With both good and bad experiences. The cue is putting it on the right setting, because the few times I felt something in my washing machine is because the wool garment was in between the other garments, and on a normal cycle then it went terribly wrong. And until now everything I washed on the gentle cycle went okay. I also watched this one that way and it came out totally fine. So I think I should just try it. But because there's so much work in here, it's also terrifying. We will see. Before next time I will have it washed and we will see the effect of that. So I also joined in the westknits mystery knit along, and it was called Slipstravaganza this year. It's the first time I joined. I always look the progress of others, but it was the first time I joined. I chose the colors out of my own hand-dyed yarns. Some of them are one of a kinds, which is a shame because I really like the colors, but yeah, that's just the way it is sometimes with dyeing. I won't be able to show this show in fullness. I will put a picture in here after I showed it like this. I will put a picture in so you can see the complete show. But I will show you the sections just now. So this was the first section you started with. It is like a honeycomb with two colored fillings, so you striped those colors, and it's slip stitches, so there is no color work involved. You only work with one yarn at a time, and basically you stripe 3 colors, and with slipping stitches you create this pattern. which was really fun to do. Then you pick up stitches around the edge of your triangle, and you have this lovely texture of slipped stitches, which is feeling so squishy that I think I'm going to make like a garment out of this stitch here, this in the middle. It's so nice to feel. Then you go to like a diamond shape, another texture thingy with slipped stitches, which is also really nice, and then the border, which has these chevrons, and oh my gosh, I was freaking out every row if I had enough to finish it. Not every row, I think the first three of the first of each color was fine, but then I had the problem because I made it, guys. I did have enough yarn, but you can see every row is growing slightly. So when I was over here, the amount of yarn I had left, I had the most left of the yellow and the least left of the minty green. But the minty green would be the biggest row to knit. So after I completed the golden stripe, which was already like, am I going to make it? And I made it. I had quite some left, so that was okay. Not a lot, but I had left, so that was okay. But I knew the next stripe would be with, I would need more yarn to knit it, but I had less to start with. So every one of these stripes was like terrifying, am I gonna have enough? And the yellow one is repeatable colorway, so I could theoretically start in a new skein, although with hand-dyed yarn there can be a color difference, but it's quite steady, so I could have added more yellow, but both the pink and the minty green are one of a kind, so I couldn't grab more or anything. So that was really terrifying, those last three stripes. And then came the bind off, and it's a I-cord bind off, so that also eats up quite some yarn. I think a bind off already eats up quite some yarn, always more than I expect, but especially with an I-cord bind off, it eats a lot of yarn. I made it, it's finished, and I'm very happy with it. I am a little bit playing with how to wear it. My biggest issue is that I normally like my scarves like I scrunch them up and I wear them around my neck. I flip the corners over to the front and then I wear it mainly at the front of my body, but it's quite deep and I don't want to like hide parts of this shawl, so when you scrunch it up, a lot of the work you have done is not visible anymore. So I'm trying to teach myself to wear it more like a proper shawl around my shoulders or anything, but it's really a gorgeous piece and it was really fun to make. So I'm not sure if I will join next year, but if I don't, it's not because it wasn't fun. It was really a lot of fun. And also you get like ideas because he's so smart with how to place certain stitches that it sparks your creativity and you're thinking, oh, I haven't thought of that. How could I use that again in something else? So that was really fun. I had at least, I think I had 4 or 5 other finished objects. One was a woven scarf for my mother-in-law. I knit my father-in-law a hat and I knit my I wove a scarf for my friend, and I knitted her husband a hat as well. So those are 4 Christmas presents. The 3 of them I can show you on video, which I will do in a second. The 4th, the woven scarf for my friend, I don't have finished material of, but I can show parts of it. It is a pied-de-poule woven scarf, and I did it on my rigid heddle loom, which meant that I had to turn my rigid heddle loom in like a 4-shaft loom. For people who don't weave, I don't know if there's a simple way to explain it, but basically a rigid heddle loom makes plain weave very easy. You thread your yarns through, and when you put the heddle up, certain yarns go up, and when you put the heddle down, those yarns go down. But when you have like a complicated weaving pattern with over 2 threads, under 2 threads, and you shift that around by 1 stitch, you have a problem that your threads are like fixed to the heddle, and sometimes you can go around it with using 2 heddles, but for pied-de-poule that wasn't possible. So what I did, I placed sticks on top of my warp, and I tied certain threads to those sticks, so I had 4 sticks, like 4 shafts, and I pulled those sticks up when I started weaving every row, which isn't difficult, and once you have the rhythm it's quite an easy motion and good to remember. But the setting up took some time, especially because I made some mistakes at certain places, but I finally finished it, and it was gorgeous, I have to say, and she was really happy with it. But unfortunately I don't have finished project pictures of that, so it's a shame, but it doesn't really, yeah, that's just what happens when you don't record in a while, then you forget you have to take footage of things. So I will, oh my gosh, I have tried to say this sentence like 20 times now. I will put a video of the finished objects, which I did record a video of right here, so you can see those. Hey, I hope the lighting is okay because it's dark outside, but I'm going to pack some Christmas presents and deliver them, so they won't be in the house, so I won't be able to show them whenever the next time is I can record a full episode. But I thought it would be fun to just show you those things before I wrap them, because I won't be able to show them in the actual video, so just do that, let's say. So I knitted a simple black beanie. It's completely 2x2 rib, and I improvised the decreases at the crown so that they kind of follow the pattern there. Over here it's 1 layer, so quite thin, but over here I have quite a big double layered brim, so your ears will be nice and warm. This is a I think it's a crocheted yarn, so it's there's already something done with the threads you're working with besides spinning, of course. It's alpaca wool acrylic blend, I think, and yeah, I put my logo on there just because I can and I can put it on for a short while, and I think it's perfect for the length. It's a pattern for men, so they wrote, most of the times men don't really want the really big slouchy things, so that's one present. And the other one is a scarf I have woven. I'm not going to undo it completely because I won't be able to show that on camera anyway, so I can better keep it folded. It's just a plain weave. It was a gradient yarn, so I warped the loom with, I think, a little bit less than 2/3 of the yarn, and then I weft the rest of the yarn, so you have the gradient from sideways but also in length, but that's not really visible because the darker colors you can't see the gradient as much as in the lighter colors. So that's just how it is, and I also put my logo on there. Let me see over here, just because I can. Excuse me, when I go back I'm way too much in the dark, but just try to keep sitting like this. I finished another head. It's the same amount of stitches, it's the same length, only I did the inside of the ribbing, inside of the hem in 2x2 ribbing, and once I was at the point where you flip it over, I started just stockinette, knitted those together and finished in a single layer of stockinette. So it has the same dimensions, although it looks quite different in shape, but because the other one is completely ribbed, it will stretch more when you wear it, but the fit is almost the same, so that's also a present. And I'm working on one more, but it's still on my loom, and I think I overestimated my time. So it's not difficult. I'm doing a pied-de-poule pattern. It's not difficult, but I'm making a very wide, very long shawl, so that takes quite a lot of time. But I'm going to wrap this, and I will see you soon. Bye. And just let's continue with the other things I want to show. It's going to be a huge episode, I think. I don't know how many of the stuff I say I will cut out, because most of the times there's a lot of nonsense in there. But we will see. Okay, I have one last finished object. It's this really cute rabbit, and I am in doubt what to do with it. It was supposed to be a present to a little baby, and that baby is the daughter of a friend which I did not spoke to in a really long time, but the past year I have been in contact a little bit. He's not living around the corner, but the moment he told me that his second child was born, I thought I would make this little baby something. So I wanted to knit this rabbit, and I did it out of some cotton I had left over, because not everybody is a fan of woolen toys for children, so I thought I would go safe and make it out of cotton. But of course, when you knit with cotton, it has more, it's easier to gape. You can see through the stitches a lot easier. So it's been languishing a long time because I wasn't sure if I liked the project. So I put it away, and somewhere the last months of the year I found it again, and I was like, ooh, I should have finished it because it was supposed to be a present. So I finished it, but I'm still not sure if I'm going to give it or not, and I have to make a decision because I think in March or April this child is going to be 1 year old, so then I'm definitely too late for a first present. From a distance I think it looks quite cute, and I think the shape of the head could have been better, but is not the worst. And I think all the stitches are fine, but once you start looking closer, you can really see the shaping and the stitches and the tension on the stitches at some places. because of the stuffing in there, like over here, and I'm just not sure. I know it's because of the yarn I used, but I don't want to give something away which can be seen as messy or not as nice as it can be. So I think this guy will just go into the pile of toys for my own children. And he didn't know I was planning on making his child something, so he won't miss it. And I don't want to give something away that I'm not completely satisfied with. Like, I really like the pattern, I think it's really cute, I think it's fine, but I think for something to give away, it's not my best, and I don't like to give those things away. So I think that's what's going to happen. But I finished it and it's cute, and I think I will make it again for someone, but then I will definitely use wool yarn, so it will be a nicer finished, and I will just give it as a side note to the person I give it, like, it's knit out of wool, if you don't want it, just put it somewhere to look at. But I think children can definitely play with wool toys. So a lot of talk about a little rabbit, but I just wanted to share that with you. So let's continue to the things I have been working on, because besides of finishing things, I also worked on a few things, and I did a thing which I will just show you now. I think a lot of people know what it means when you have a lot of balls like this. I have more laying around. I frogged the thing. The thing I frogged is the core cardigan. It's a pattern by Natasha Hornby. There's nothing wrong with the pattern. It's a lovely pattern, and I think I will knit it again out of a different yarn, because this is hand spun. It's hand spun Gotland fiber. It has a halo, which I really like. It's especially visible in the knitted garment, but I spun it very dense, so it was a very heavy cardigan, which is not always a problem, but I also didn't have enough meterage to make the cardigan as it was supposed to. So I think I could have done with a bigger size, and I did not have enough yarn to make the sleeves the length they were supposed to, and I didn't have enough to make it the length it was supposed to. So at all adding up, I wasn't wearing it, and then I was looking at it one day and I was like, I'm not wearing it. I put a lot of effort in spinning this yarn. I want the yarn to be in something I use, so I frogged it, and it wasn't the easiest thing to frog because of the halo. It's kind of sticking at each other, so it took quite some time to frog, but I'm very happy I did. And just look at it, it's just so much depth in this gray that I really want to use it for something else. And I'm even thinking of using it next to a smoother yarn, so you can really see the difference in the textures of the yarn, but I'm not sure of that. And I'm also not sure what it's going to be. Maybe I just don't know. I don't think it's very suitable for something directly against my skin, like a shawl or a scarf. I think it's a little bit too toothy for that, but then again, it's really warm, so maybe when I knit an outer shell and make like a lining for it, which is against my skin, maybe that will work. We will see, but it's gorgeous, and I don't want it to be in a project I don't wear. So that's the thing. But now to the things I have been working on. I tried picking up things I had not finished because I saw my pile of unfinished projects grow, and I don't like it when there are too much unfinished projects in the house. So once in a while I dive in there and I start knitting all those things that need finishing, and one of them is the mittens I started last year for my husband, and I'm not completely finished it. It needs a thumb, but I almost finished one of them, and I will start the second one soon. February is the coldest month, I think, here in the Netherlands, so it should be done before February and he can wear them. He's really happy with them. I knit them out of, let me peek, Navaya Duo. Is it Navaya Duo or Trio? Duo. Navaya Duo. And I knit it looser than the stitch gauge that is recommended, because my husband has bigger hands than most women do, and the pattern is written for women hands. So it's Effie by Ellie of Skeindeer, and I've already knit those for myself in the recommended stitch gauge, and those were definitely too small for my husband. So I went to a size 3mm needle, and I will put it on and you can see that it's way too big for me. I think I have like the complete point of the mitten is empty, like my fingers are starting over here or something. So this is for my husband and it fits him very well. So yeah, that's what I have been working on, and this stitch pattern is just, it's not a new stitch pattern, it's a very common stitch pattern, but I really like that one to knit. So yeah, I have to start the second one and I have to put the thumb in. But quite some progress there, especially when you think that it has been laying in the bag for a year, I think. It's funny, those things like mittens, I start them in winter time and then I knit one pair and I knit another pair and I think, oh, that person can also be made happy with a pair of mittens. And then I started way at the end of the winter and I know it's not going to be finished, and I think, but well, I give it to them next winter and I have a whole year to finish it now before it's cold enough to wear them. And then I forget about it because I don't want to knit mittens in the middle of June. So then they get in a bag, stuffed away, and next winter I will find them again and I finish them. So I hope I finish them, because it's already January. We will see. We will see. Another project out of the pile of other finished things is a pair of socks I started knitting out of the 52 socks. 52 weeks of socks. Oh my gosh. It's standing right here, I can just read it. 52 weeks of socks. I finished one of the socks out of the pair. It is, let me see, it's here. I can look up the pattern for you. I'm very bad at pattern names and designer names. It's a pattern by Heidi Alander and it is, oh my gosh. I always do this. I choose patterns I can't pronounce the name of. Toivoharju. Let's see if I can show this without giving anything away. That's how you write it. It's a lace sock, so it has a lace panel. It starts at the back of the, so it starts at the, this is the back of the sock, and then it turns over to the front of the sock and it ends up on the foot, and it ends in a point over there. You can like the toe in the pattern is shorter, like the lace is going on a little bit longer, but you're bound to the size of the lace repeat. And I couldn't fit in a repeat. Then I would be knitting the lace into the toe, and I've done it once and I didn't really like the lace over my toes, so I had to stop a little bit early and knit a few rows of plain stockinette before starting the toe, which is totally fine. It's knit out of it's looking a bit messy, but it's knitted out of and when you stretch it, it will look nicer. Again, it's knitted out of a cotton sock yarn by rosa, I think. And it's really nice to work with, I have to say. I'm not always a fan of knitting with cotton yarns, but it's really nice to work with. We will see how it's going to be when I wear them. I like the spray-like effect of the color, which was not too much, so it wouldn't overrule the lace pattern. I think it's still really clear that it is a lace paneled sock. And yeah, I've never knit a leg this long, but I had to, because the lace has to turn from the back completely to the front before you start the heel and the foot of the sock. So it was a good one for my patience. So so normally I only knit my legs like this long, like half of this, and I think those are long for me. So, like when I knit a leg like this, it would be already a long leg, and now I have like double the length. So we'll see how I feel like it when I'm wearing them. Maybe I will really like it, maybe I don't, we will see. It's a first, and it's fun that because of the way this pattern is written, you have to knit it this long, so there's no choice. And I thought that was quite interesting. The lace panel itself was not difficult, but I had to look at the chart every so often. But now I can memorize it, so I'm started the second sock already, and I don't have to look at the chart at this moment. So that's a nice thing, because it's always slowing down when you have to look at the chart every time, but I don't have to at this moment, so that's a win. But it took me like one sock to memorize it. That's also because I put this down a few times, like I didn't knit this in one go. There have been months in between, so then you have to rethink the chart. But yeah, now I can knit it without looking at the chart. So that's really nice, and I hope to finish them within a month, I think, because there are a lot of socks I want to knit, and I don't want to start another one, because I have already one pair. I have another pair on the needles, which I haven't touched in ages. So I think it would be better not to start another sock before I finish this one. I can do that. I did start another project though, not a sock, something else. And it has been one that is on my wish list for ages, and I finally came around and just started it. You can't see what it is. Those are two sleeves. I'm starting with the sleeves. The pattern says you to start with the sleeves, and the good thing about that is that sleeves are quite easy to fit. Like, you can try it on really fast, and you can measure your gauge. So if you don't want to make a gauge swatch, you can use your sleeves as a gauge swatch, and you know what to adjust in the body part of the pattern. It is the pattern Loose by Andrea Mowry, And I did had a few things about this. It's not that the pattern is wrong, it is a really nice pattern, and I can't wait to start the body with the bubbles and the lace. But the issue I had is I did made a little gauge swatch, which made me decide to use a certain size of a needle, which is different to everybody, of course. And I started knitting for the 42-inch bust measurement. I'm a little bit under the 42 bust at the moment, but the one underneath was the 40, and I'm over 40 inches in bust circumference, so I thought I would go for the 52 inches because I don't like it when it's going to have a lot of buttons, and I don't like it when the buttons are under too much tension. I don't like that look for myself, so I was going with the 42-inch bust size. So I casted on the amount of stitches for the sleeves that fit to that bust size. And when you look at the pictures of this pattern, it's a tight fitted pattern, so the sleeves are tight and it is following your shape. There is a little bit of ease in there because the ribbing at the waist is cinching it in a little, but it's not like an oversized thing, especially the sleeves are quite fitted. So I casted on the amount of stitches for the sleeves for this size, and I was knitting it and it felt way too big, and then I tried them on. Like, I knit the cuff and I tried them on, and I had like a lot of room in there. When it was just around my waist, there was a lot of room. And I also like to put my sleeves up, and when they were like on this height, there was still a lot of room, so they would go down again, they wouldn't stay up. So I took it out and started again with a smaller needle, because at first I thought it was a gauge problem, that I maybe made a mistake in measuring my gauge. So I took a smaller needle and tried again, but I had the same problem. And then I went to look at the pictures and the pattern and the numbers, and the smallest two sizes have like 16 stitches less in the cuff than the two sizes above that. And although I understand, because you have to raglan shape them together, and I understand you need more stitches for the shoulders of the bigger sizes, but the fact that I have a 41 inch bust circumference doesn't mean that I have fat wrists, right? I think your wrists are one of the last parts to grow, so adding such a big amount of stitches at the cuff, I think that wasn't a good idea in this pattern. And although she has a completely logical reason for it, it made the shape of the garment in the picture not matching up with the shape of the garment I was knitting. So I ripped back again and I casted on the amount of stitches for the smaller size, which is this, and it's fitting perfect like I already showed you. But when I put this around my wrist, it's closed around and I can pull it up, so because there's a lot of stretch in there, and it will stay up here if I put my sleeves up. So that's nice, but I can't knit a 38 inch bust size. That won't fit me. So I had to look at the numbers and stitches again. And I came to the conclusion that I'm going to increase this sleeves more than the pattern says. And I'm going to knit the 40 inch after all. And we will just see how that works out. It's knitted bottom up. So you start with the waist ribbing. And I think I can kind of, when I try that around my waist, I think I can guess if it's going to work or not. So I can always rip that back and start the bigger side. I'm quite okay with some math, so I will figure it out. But it was like not the best start, let's say. So I looked really forward to knitting this pattern for years, and the first thing I thought when I started this was like, oh, this is not how I pictured it. So we will it's going to work. I'm going to make it work. And again, I don't say that she did a bad job. I understand why there are more stitches in the cuff, because you want to have more stitches at the top and you don't want to increase too drastical, because that will mess up the shape of the sleeve. So I understand the choice, but it wouldn't maybe be my choice, especially because, as I said, your wrists are most of the times not the fattest part of your body. So to get so much stitches at the cuff it just didn't add up for me. But I started it and I'm going to figure it out, and I'm very excited to work on it a little bit more. As you maybe saw, I'm doing my sleeves 2 at a time. That's mainly because I'm going to use a different increase rate than the pattern says, and I want to make sure that I do it the same on both sleeves. And I know myself, they say you have to write it down, but I know myself at one point I will forget that, and I don't have a clue of what I did. So when I knit them 2 at a time, I at least mess them up in the same way. No, it's going to be fine. I think I'm going to use a constant increase rate. So normally you see sleeves that increase more or less in certain parts of the sleeves, but I think I'm just going to make it as even as possible. So yeah, we will see how this is going to be working out. It's definitely a lot more work than I thought because of the mat, but as I said, I'm quite comfortable with some mats, so that's not a problem. But it's going to be a different process than I thought it would be. And I think those are all the knitting things I want to show you now. There are more works in progress, but I'm not working on them at the moment, so I'm not going to look for them now. Let's see, I did get some presents over the last month. Not only like especially for Christmas, but like in December there tend to be some gift exchange over here. So one of them, and I don't know, maybe this was a gift to myself. It can be a gift to myself. We will say my husband gave them, right? Those are the Pom makers. That is a brand that makes these little cute devices made of wood you can use to make pom-poms. And I do have the Clover pom-pom makers, those plasticky things you clip together, but they didn't really work for me. I didn't get the fullness I want in a pom-pom, and this is definitely helping with that. And I have all the sizes here. So this is their medium, it's shaped like a donut. They have a bigger one with a bow on it. The smallest one is a button, and I have here also one that is the macaron, and it's in use. My children really like playing with this as well. So this is not my work, this is my eldest, his work. He's not the neatest in winding them, but the idea is you have two parts of these, you put them on top of each other. You put them on top of each other. Oh my gosh, it's lying at the other side of a lot of stuff, so I can't grab it. But then you start like winding yarn around it, and this notch here makes the cutting of the thread a little bit easier. Once you have two of those halves wind, you put them together and you secure them with the in this case the cookie of the macaron. And you do that also on the bottom, and then it's secure. You can hold it really well, you cut it and you tie in between those notches, and it's working really well. And I have 4 sizes, and they really do give all a different size. I do have to say that the smallest one, I have it here, is the button. It still gives quite a reasonable pom-pom. Like, it's not really tiny, it's still like it has some volume. When you really want the tiny ones, there are hacks and tricks to make really small ones with the pins on top, but I haven't tried it out yet. So yeah, there are pom-poms everywhere in this house at the moment. My boys really like playing with it, and my cat likes playing with it, and although I have to be careful because my cat eats everything, so I have to be sure there are no loose threads in there. And yeah, it's just really fun to do, and I have to find I still have to find out which yarn I prefer to make the pom-poms with, but it's just really fun to do. And I have a really huge white one on my head at the moment, and it's just really fun to do. So, and I have to look up some more things you can do with it. I know you can put them also on shawls, and you can make like little animals with them. We will see what's going to happen, but it's at least it's really fun to do also for my children. So that's the thing. I also got a really nice, I got several knitting books. I have one laying around here, the other one is somewhere in the house, and I'm not going to look for it right now, but this is one of the books I got. It is the Japanese knitting stitches. It's from the same writer as the Japanese knitting Bible. So the books look really the same, but they are different, and there are different patterns in there. But it's the same writer, the same designer that made them. So that's why they look really much alike but are different. I'm not going to show the inside, but because there are a lot of charts in there, and that's why you buy the book, right? So I'm not going to give that away. I do have to say that I was really optimistic, like, oh, it's all charted and I will figure it out and it will be fine. It's going to be fine. I will figure it out. It's not like impossible, but there are a lot of not a lot, but there are a few things that are new to me, like the way they do some stitches and the way they write those stitches down. It's really intuitive, but those charts are big, and there are a lot of stitches used in each chart. So this won't be a lace pattern like, oh, I memorized it, I can do it without the chart. These patterns you will need a chart, and I'm going to be looking forward to making something with it, because That's why I wanted this book, because it looks a little bit more complex, and I like that sometimes. So yeah, very happy that I got this one. And I think that's everything I want to show you at the moment. There are always a lot of things to show, but I think I've shown enough for now. I do have to say that although I really want to record every 2 weeks again, I don't know if that's completely possible. Schools are closed again here in the Netherlands, and we don't know for how long that will be, which means I have less time to do other things, like recording a podcast or dyeing yarn or other things. I did start a course though, and that's also eating up time. I really like the course. It's pattern drafting, you say. I don't know why, but it's drawing my own patterns for sewing, and also a course about stitching, and I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper in how to stitch certain things. I'm self-taught, and no one actually showed me how to put in a zipper or how to pleat something very nicely. And although the internet is full of good stuff, it is nice to have course material about it and look things up a little bit more professional. So that is also something I am doing. Also, although I want to record every 2 weeks, I don't know if that's possible, at least in the beginning of this year. I will try. So although it may take a little bit longer, I don't think it will be 2 months. I think I will be able to record sooner than that.